Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey,
All right, let's
how's
see
my
if we
mic?
can get Will in here. Your mic's
How's
just fine. How
just
is
fine, good.
mine? Is there any background noise?
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
Okay, cool. All right, everybody, welcome back to the final recap episode of the Teardown. We just wanted to get on here today and do a little bit of a recap of the show, talk about some things that we've been talking about all season on the Teardown. For those of you who don't know, across the season on every major competing weekend, it was me, it was Dylan, and it was Courtney, or some combination of those people. Um, Breaking down results of show car competitions as they came in. We have Courtney right here, obviously. Um, Will is joining us today because Courtney unfortunately had a last minute obligation to fulfill. Um, but he is the number one Teardown fan, um, and is very familiar with a lot of what we did on the Teardown. So the agenda today, we're going to be talking about some of our favorite results of the year, some of our favorite reactions of the year, picking our kings and queens of all of the major areas and regions of the world. The kings being the mixed groups, and the queens being the treble groups. And yeah, we'll probably get you guys out of here in about an hour. I am a little bit sick. I'm recovering from a fever and also Oceanside. So,
Which was a fever
um,
dream.
which was a fever dream indeed. Um, so I guess since we got the teardown, I'll run quickly through those results before we get started. For those of you who aren't aware, which is nobody, John Burroughs Powerhouse, first place, sweep, second place, Burbank, or sorry, Los Alamitos Sound Effects, third place, Burbank InSync, fourth place, Kennedy Executive Order, and then in Tier 2 Large, we had Valley Vista in first place, winning Best Music and Best Show. Second place, Glendora Royal Stewards, and in third place, we had Chaparral Platinum FX. And then in Tier 2 Small, we did have a sweep victory for Carlsbad, and then Bonita Vista coming down in second. Advanced treble, intermediate mixed, intermediate treble, and advanced bass all were John Burroughs sweeps as well. A very impressive showing from that program. All right, so let's get to our agenda right here. What was your favorite result of the year? This is not your favorite reaction per se, but your favorite competition results. Let's go. Let's go, Dylan. What do you think?
Um, let's see. My favorite. I've got two. I think because I got like a favorite shock. Actually, no. I think they're both favorite shock results, kind of. But I think my one of my favorite results Gret was Gretna this year, where Miller North beat ATSC. I think that was like the one where we knew, oh no, we're back in for another round of chaos. And then my other my other favorite result. Oh, oh wait, no, I just got another one that popped in my head. I'll lightning round them both.
Okay.
Dwight D. Eisenhower winning at El Paso and Quincy winning at Central Lee. Though it's
Yeah.
seeing two underdog groups that I personally am a huge fan of get those big wins. That was definitely
Yeah.
a good moment.
Those were definitely fantastic polls. Will, what was your favorite result of the year, if you have one or two?
Yeah, I'll stick with one. Mine is Sock Prairie because it just kind of encapsulates everything that I like to see. First of all, there was a real upset just to get into finals. Holman Midwest Express beat out the Reedsburg Corliers, which is definitely not something that a lot of people saw coming. And then in the finals, You had Holman 6th, New London 5th, and Toma 4th, which I think this was probably Toma's best result of the season. That's fine. You have some local-ish Wisconsin groups playing in the sandbox there. But your top three, in third place, El Paso with choreo. In second place, Iowa City West with vocals. And in first place with no major captions on Alaska. So even though Onalaska got a best soloist, like a no major caption win, Wisconsin defends the home turf against Iowa and Illinois. Really a couple of things that I really like to see.
Yeah, definitely. I think my favorite result though has to be Heart of America Orlando this year. I've been really rooting for that new Los Al team over there. I think they have a fantastic show, one of the most impactful Los Alamitos shows I've seen, and for them to come away with that massive sweep win in what had to have been a close, 1-3 situation there. I was just so happy for them, and obviously as a California guy, um, those weekends where the big three went out to compete were really special to me, and seeing them all come home with their victories. But the HOA Orlando one takes the cake, especially considering the caliber of competition there. It was awesome. I watched it all day, finals and prelims, and it was an absolute blast. All right. So next up, I want to talk about some of our favorite reactions and why. And we don't have to limit this to one or whatever. If you have a few that pop into your head, I'll give you guys some time to think about it because I know mine pretty quickly off the bat here. It was, let me not make a mistake here. I want to make sure I get everything right. Yes, I think my favorite reaction, it wasn't the craziest reaction, nor was it the craziest result of the year, but the second week of the teardown, we had Beaver Creek. It was a stacked competition. We were just kind of getting our feet under us. It was the first competition that I'd really watched from the beginning of the day all the way through, and I felt so confident that Hurricane was going to come out on top. And it ended up being Solon in first with no captions, Noblesville second, best vocals, Loveland third, best choreography, then Piqua, and then Hurricane bringing up the fifth spot with Loveland Allure making that last final spot. I just thought that was a very great beginning of the end as far as my comp predictions streak has gone. For those that know, I did place last place in our competition predictions game within the Homer Show Choir staff, and I also predicted very incorrectly the winner of Oceanside last night to kind of put a nice little bow on it. So, I that was like sort of the beginning of me knowing that I know nothing, and I'm really thankful for all that I've learned. But it was also just such a fun result and such a fun competition to really like kick off this teardown season with. So yeah, Will, what do you think? You've been watching the show for a little bit. What was your
Yeah.
favorite?
Chris,
Reaction?
I feel like there was one where, like early in the season, maybe like a Nebraska comp or something, where you just were like, "Oh, oh!"
I
And
think
I'm not
that
like,
was the one where West Side or where Millard North beat West Side,
That
which
was
was
Gretna, yeah.
Gretna.
that was it. Oh, because I remember watching that back and like immediately screen recording it and sending it to the group chat, as all great moments do, right? Like they go immediately to the group chat, and I'm like, y'all, like this is why we had the concept for the teardown, because
Oh
just
yeah.
the raw emotion of like, holy crap, I had no idea that that was about to happen. Um, Definitely a good one. I mean, I was on the show for a little bit most weeks, but the tough part is that I often was at competitions. I went late, Chesterton,
Mhm.
Omaha South. Although Omaha
Right.
South is a reasonable time, I don't want to throw shade there, Glenwood. Um, so I didn't get to like live react to a lot of results. However, one that I did get to live react to, and this is probably my favorite live reaction of the year, is reacting to the results at Troy Buchanan. Because if you look at the showchoir.com page, the only two event comments on that page are the Easy Comp bot saying list of finalists has been posted and then final results has been posted. That is absolutely story of this event, because like there were lots and lots of rumors swirling around about like the top four groups. Something like Rock Bridge was close to being in the lead, like Glenwood was like a point up on Mount Zion. Like I don't even remember what they are anymore, so don't take those for fact. But there's a lot of anticipation, and like cell service at Troy Buchanan is an absolute black hole. and so there were very few results coming out. So I think we more or less like had to wait for the easy comp bot to push them.
Hmm.
Then you see like Rockbridge fourth, Glenwood third, Neosho second with choreo, Mount Zion or Neosho second with vocals, Mount Zion
Vocals, yeah.
choreo and band. And I just sat there. I'm sitting there in my parents' living room because I was back home to watch my sister at De Pere that weekend. And I'm in the living room, and like my mom and one of her friends are sitting like across the room from me, and I'm just yapping away. And I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, the Mount Zion swim stations are so back. It felt so good just to deliver like a sweet kiss of like, here's a program that went through some turbulent times and at the beginning of a new year just tackled an absolute behemoth in Neo show and scored a signature win. Obviously, that was a good omen for things to come for swings. But, more so than the, oh, like this group missed finals or, oh, this group, plunged to sixth. Like, my favorite reactions are the ones where I'm like, whoa, like, that's phenomenal. And I think something else, if I had to pick a runner up, oh gosh, maybe uh, January 17th at Glenwood, the Iowa one. That was the first indication of what we were going to get out of Sioux Center for this season, because I think a lot of people expected Des Moines Christian to walk into that competition, sweep it, and walk out. Hastings with a best band win, but Sioux Center with the best vocals and best choreo, like my face lit up because y'all know me, like whenever there's a new good small school, I'm here for it. So a great run for Sioux Center this year as well. But Glenwood, I think, was a raw indication of like, here we go.
Yeah, definitely.
For
I,
sure.
I do also have to give a quick shout out to Naperville North, Clash of the Sequence, and other Mount Zion related things of when you've got male placed third overall at that competition. I think that was one of the most awesome reactions from everybody, from like the staff as a whole.
That was I was so mad that I was not like because check-in cell service was not great, and also those results did not come in until after midnight. There were
Yeah,
so many things that went on that night that I was like, oh, like I'm sure the guys are having a blast right now.
definitely.
For sure.
All right, Dylan, what do you think? What was some of your favorite reactions of the year?
Um, I got two. I think I got two right now. Let me tell you, if you thought Naperville was crazy, let me tell you about a little competition called Crete-Monee. Of
You're gonna
course,
say that.
spectacular. Oh my gosh, when we've look before Teardown, we were hearing some stuff like all the Illinois people. We were hearing some stuff about what happened in prelims, and we were like, "Wait, what? What's going on?" When we got those final results and we saw Oswego commotion place ahead of Wheaton Warrenville South the Class 6, that was just. I remember. I think it was me, Chris, and Will on that night. I forget if Courtney was on, and we were all just like, "What? What's going on?" Yeah, that was just
I think that
the
whole like
craziest.
the whole Oswego lore is just so bolstered by Oswego Choir Mom 1 or whatever her
Oh,
name
Stage
was.
Mom 57, I think.
Stage Mom 57 in
Is that? I don't know if the numbers right, but
84, Stage Mom 84,
84. Ah,
who was just commenting as Oswego to win at whatever given competition. And then we're like, oh, that's cool. That's and then oh wait. Wait, they did it. Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah,
That's good
I mean,
stuff.
if there's a competition that completely just encapsulated Illinois this year, it was Creedmonia. That. And my other favorite one was Monona Grove. I
Mm.
remember we were like just got out of discussing another competition, and we were about to go into a different competition. And then, right as we were about to get in, at Monona Grove results came in, and I was like, "Hey, Chris, you might want to take a look at these Monona Grove results." And you were like,
That
"It
one
was
was
like
nuts because
what?"
I'm sitting through a phenomenal Omaha South exhibition show, and my phone just starts blowing up because obviously I've got family ties to De Pere, and like my sister is texting me, and she's not even in the mix, right? But and I just wanted to watch El Mismo Soul, man. Is that too much to ask? I guess it is, because I had a lot of digging out to do when when that show was over.
Like a classic best vocals, best choreography, second place for
Yeah.
in that situation. That was a weird one.
I tell you what, and I think I said it on the show that night. Those of you who think that that is wild, Monona, only need to click back to 2020 when Best Choreo was fifth.
Wait, I need to see that. Hold on.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't.
the Green Bay East Rhapsody and Red Glory days.
Reedsburg suck best
Oh
vocals.
yeah, oh that
Oh
was
my gosh.
yeah.
North St. Paul is there
Monona
too.
2020, one of the craziest competitions I've ever been to, and I've been to the last 2 years of Chesterton.
Right. I feel like we do also have to give a quick shout out to some of like just the great competitions of the year, like the Auburns of the world, the Chestertons, the HOA Orlando, SCN, so on and so forth, Liberty. Like there were so many incredible competitions
Liberty,
this
Liberty.
year. Um, ooh, I wonder if we'll have time. If we have time, I might do a surprise segment of the best transitive property connection if we have time. But we're gonna try to get you guys out here by 8 Pacific. But okay, let's move on to
That's a scary, scary thought. I'm thinking
um
Hamilton Legacy right now. I'm thinking about like Loveland, maybe like Finley, maybe like I don't know.
Wabansie Valley over all of Ohio.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
also true.
Yeah. I think the prairie connections are the best ones.
Oh yeah.
Like just
Yeah.
like you can do a crazy string from the prairie victory earlier on in the season. Okay, we'll move on for now to our dream matchup for next season. It's been a busy one day of off season. Directors are changing, choreographers are changing, competitions, schedules are being announced, group sizes are being announced. Bloomington Kennedy has 71 kids, I guess. And it's getting to that time of the year, one day after the choir season ends, where we're thinking about our dream matchups for 2027 show choir season. I don't want to hear no Los Al versus Burroughs. I don't want to hear Center Grove versus Franklin Central. I want to hear your biggest dreams. Dream big. Who do you want to face each other? Or if you want to even bring it into a three group competition, what do you think, Dylan?
Um, can I get a second to think about this one?
Yeah, we'll go. I'll give my kind of uh half joking answer. I would like to see John Burroughs Men at Work versus Mount Zion You've Got Mail. You've Got Mail and John Burroughs Powerhouse are coming off two of the most successful men's group seasons we've seen. I love bass groups, bass group renaissance, all that. Get them in the same room. We need it.
I would actually argue that in terms of style of show, the better dream matchup would be John Burroughs Men at Work versus Auburn Men at Work.
Well, yes. They are also
Because
choreographed by the same person, so it's like it makes it even more plausible.
yes, but just an Alabama group tossing pizza out into the crowd, edible pizza, I feel like is something that you don't see south of the Mason-Dixon all that much. And I feel like whatever Aaron Smith cooks up next year for Auburn Men at Work is going to be just as good.
You know what I'd really like to see is a Mads at Work style Men at Work of combined shows of both the Auburn Men at Work and John Burroughs Men at Work. Now that would be something special to behold. But that's not the question we're asking here. Will, what is your dream matchup for yes, Brady. What's your dream
Ketones
matchup for
the Men at
2027?
Work could run. So true. Although I think, are we down to any? I think we're just down to the Lexington testosterones because
Yeah.
Grace officially rebranded to just the T-tones, which bring the full name back.
Boo.
Okay, I'll do a couple of funny ones. Number one, Gretna versus Gretna. A matchup that I think is highly unlikely to happen simply because of the family dynamics at play.
Yeah.
Caitlin Wallace, director of Gretna, Nathan Wallace, director of Gretna East. Perhaps it was just coincidence that they didn't compete this year. However, I mean, I would not be surprised to see this go either way. whether they do compete against each other, whether they don't compete against each other. The second one would be De Pere versus anyone from the western half of Wisconsin, because while they did win 3 times this past year, no matchup with Onalaska, no matchup with La Crosse, no matchup with Sparta, and I was just like, man, there's so much good show choir left on the table here.
Yeah.
Again, probably a coincidence. However, that I'll try to speak that into existence for next year. And then for an actually serious one, I don't know. This one's tough because there are so many like sleeper picks from different regions that I feel like, oh, that would be a really good matchup. However, I think I am going to take a real big swing here, and I'm going to say Keller Blue Lights versus Waltham Music Unlimited.
Oh. Oh, I like that. I actually like that quite a bit. That's
Because
very interesting.
Keller was right in the thick of the discussion for the best Texas group this year. Waltham, like splitting captions with Daniel Hand, never cracking the win column this year, but obviously right there as well. So I feel like, and just Texas and New England show choir, obviously on the map they're like this, but I feel like stylistically they're also kind of like that. Like Texas still kind of getting their feet under them, like show design wise and costume wise, and then New England, like they're doing some very innovative things up there. There just aren't a ton of groups, and so not a lot of people are noticing. But that is my totally random, completely far-fetched. Multiple groups would need to travel multiple thousands of miles to make that happen. Dream matchup for next year.
Yeah, I was just checking Waltham's record, and they have 5 second places. It's very interesting, and they did actually end up beating Daniel Hand, but they could not.
Oh,
They
but they
just could
lost to
not.
Troy.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
they lost to Troy.
yeah.
I was like, wait, no, I think they did it once, and I was like, they did, but they also did not win. Very interesting season from them. I'm really excited. Waltham's like one of my just favorite groups. I have like just this list of groups that I love just based on aura and aura alone. And Waltham has crazy aura, and I love them, and I'd love to see them one day. Dylan, what do you think about your most anticipated matchup, hypothetical matchup of 2027?
So a matchup I would want to see. I want to see a big like just battle royale of a bunch of groups with like the same name, like every group named Singers or something Singers. Franklin Central, Oak Mountain, Noblesville.
Hmm.
But all the groups named Momentum. All the groups named. I'm trying to think
Yeah,
of another
Spotlight or yeah.
Spotlight. Yeah,
The
just
momentum comp would be brutal, man. So many I can think of just off the dome.
Yeah, definitely.
and then a serious one. I've been wanting to see this forever. Wheaton North versus Solon. They are just two such similar groups, and I think they stand in such like a similar spot within their respective states. I just and also I think it'd be such a close matchup. I just want to see that happen. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, but like it's just one of those that I've just been itching to see. And another one I do want to see. I want to see Waltham go up against Dwight D. Eisenhower. I think those groups just have such similar levels of aura. They have such a
Yeah.
similar dynamic, and uh, I think both groups at their peak in like their peak form. I think that could be an interesting matchup. I do. So those are my three dream matchups I want to see.
Yeah. Yeah, those are interesting. I think that I have to go with for my serious one because I already kind of gave my silly one. Although I'm not joking, please make it happen. Um, I would like to see Grenada versus West Side. They're both very high caliber groups within their respective circuits, and they're about as different of a show as you can possibly have. And that to me is really interesting as pushing the limits is about as far away from each other as possible while being kind of on, obviously I haven't seen either of these groups in person, but like kind of being in my mind on similar levels skill wise. I would love to see that. They're two of my, I mean, it's my favorite Nebraska group and it's my favorite Mississippi group, and they're both so different, and I would love to see them go against each other.
No,
And
no,
then I
no. But
also
Chris,
have
don't
to.
you see? We have to make separate divisions for choirs with any different types of shows. You have to make
Oh, you're
it
right.
lighthouse shows, non-lighthouse story shows, non-lighthouse traditional shows, non-lighthouse character shows, non. Yeah.
I
And
actually think
I
that
don't,
we
I don't know
have
why you're asking.
to. I think that we have to start separating shows by main color palette. Because
Hmm.
otherwise, how are the colorblind judges going to be able to accurately assess the costumes and all that? It's a real problem plaguing the community. Um, but of course, I'm just gonna kind of get this one out of the way. Clinton versus one of John Burroughs, Center Grove, or Linmar. Um, Clinton versus any of those groups would be amazing. Um, I just want to see them take a swing at their fellow undefeated groups. Simple as that. We were all
Yeah,
thinking it. Just want to throw that one out there.
yeah.
Any other dream wish list matchups for next season from you guys or from anyone in the chat watching? We do have 13
Well,
concurrent
we
viewers.
we did have a vote in the chat for Broken Arrow versus Franklin Central.
Ooh, that's kind of neat. I like that. I like that. They both like very. Oh, we also have another chatter that says Clinton versus Carmel. Now, ooh,
Carmel,
Carmel.
as someone who saw both shows this year. Carmel.
Yeah. I think I would go Carmel too, but that would be a really cool matchup because I feel like those are very similar stylistic shows, like just kind of how Franklin Central and Broken Arrow kind of like stylistically similar. I like that matchup as well. We have another one in the chat. We have Los Al versus Center Grove. Yeah, that's kind of one that everyone wants to see. Everyone wants that rematch. Um, because I mean, obviously that was such an electric Wheaton Warrenville South a couple years ago. So I think this is
Oh
genuinely
boy,
possible.
they're
I'd like
coming
to
in
see.
hot now.
Okay, okay, okay. Waukee versus Waukee Northwest. Yes, everybody wants to see that. Clinton versus Homewood. That will not happen, right?
Uh, so the thing about Iowa is that like everyone boxes themselves into, unless you're like Iowa City, I would shout out Iowa City for competing 6 times this year. But most other programs in Iowa box themselves into, okay, we compete on the third weekend of January, the first weekend of February, the third weekend of February, and the fourth weekend of February. And if Waukee goes to Waukee Northwest and Waukee Northwest goes to Waukee, well, then you really only have like 2 opportunities to see each other. Like someone was riled up about like, oh, like Johnston and Urbandale have a non-compete. And like that's actually not true. Like the schedules just never work out. So Iowa, please expand your comp seasons. Clinton versus Homewood, that will not be happening until something significant changes. Can confirm.
Yeah.
Uh, Waubonsie versus Glenwood. Did that not happen at all this year?
I feel like it
No,
did,
because
but maybe it
Glenwood went to
didn't.
like 5 different states. I feel like Bonzie takes that this year.
Maybe up for the Homie Traveler Award, perhaps?
They are not.
Oh, never mind. Um,
That
oh,
would have been a good pick, actually. Whoever decided it must have not been thinking.
right,
I'm gonna
right.
see myself out.
Linmar versus Powerhouse. I mean, obviously, that's just a battle of undefeated choirs. All of us want to see the undefeateds go against each other at some point this season.
Give me West
Hand
Marion
versus
versus
Grenada.
Oxford.
Wait, what? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Say that again. Run that back.
Give me West Marion versus Oxford.
West Marion was undefeated?
Yeah,
Is that the implication? Oh
yeah.
my gosh. What?
Undefeated in small mixed.
Okay. That counts. That counts.
Yeah, but they went to 7 competitions.
Wow. That's impressive. That's
Yeah.
impressive. The tier 2 groups are not messing around this year. I
Uh,
can confirm.
oh, that's tier 4, by the way. Small mix. In the Oh.
Oh yeah. Linmar versus Center Grove. Yeah. I mean any of the undefeateds together. We'll just say that right off the bat. Linmar,
Yeah.
Center Grove, Clinton, John Burroughs. Wait, was there another like big one?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, those four, any of them against each other or all of them is counts. That'll play. Um, okay, we have about 30 minutes left on this Teardown recap show, and I want to go and address kind of our segment from earlier on in the Teardown. This is something that we talked about a few different episodes of who we think the king of a given region would be, as in who would be the best group from that region or have the most impressive season. Um, and we're also going to be giving our queens of their respective regions as well, our favorite or who we think had the most impressive treble season as well. So we are going to start with I kind of Frankenstein together some of these regions. So Minnesota and Wisconsin are together, even though I know they're not the same, and I know Will was very upset reading that. But just for the sake of
Minnesota doesn't have enough flyers to really be like a big standalone circuit. So, and they all, everyone in Minnesota is scared to host a competition in January for some reason. So half their season is in Wisconsin anyway.
it's cold, man. You don't
It
want
is
to
in
be.
Wisconsin too.
No, I know. You guys should all move to the California schedule. What do you like? Why are we in April and March and you guys are in like the middle of January? Like everything's
Because
frozen over there.
because show choir season has to end before track and field practice starts, or baseball practice, or softball practice, or girls soccer practice, or whatever other sports there are in spring.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. I get it. All right, Nebraska and Dakotas is our first region that we're going to be addressing here. Who was your king and queen of Iowa this year? Will.
Wait,
Like,
hold on, Dylan. Can you
Oh,
fact?
sorry. Nebraska and South Dakota. I looked over and I read Iowa. My bad.
Uh, no, you're good. My kings of the region were Gretna Revolution. I feel like this was a pretty undisputed pick. Like the only the only three groups they lost to all season were Linn-Mar, Carmel, and Franklin Central. And they absolutely cleaned
Yeah.
out.
Before we go any further, does anyone disagree? Okay, cool.
no.
All right,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So, and again, this is one of like those shows that is just. I feel like Gretna is going to be a program as long as everything stays the same. That in like 10 or 15 years, we just start stacking Gretna shows, like we're stacking Grenada shows, like we're stacking Cali Big Three shows, like we're stacking Indy Big Three shows. Like this is a group that is going to have shows that start popping out. Like 2 years ago, uh, The Last Dance. Last year, The Road Less Taken. This year, The Ride. Um, no words. Still my favorite non-Wisconsin group. And it got closer this year. Briarwood is definitely a very solid number two. But still my favorite non-Wisconsin group. And my queens have to be Millard North Illumination. I don't think, have a case for anyone else to be the queens. I think they might have lost the division somewhere. I'm going to fact check myself on that real quick.
I'll
They
check as
actually didn't.
well.
They went undefeated and they made finals at Waconia where they were fourth. Um,
Yeah.
I was at Omaha South and I think it was pretty clear that they were the class of the field there, which generally included women's groups number, I think like 2, 3, and 5 from Nebraska, and it was pretty clear. And I was talking to some locals, and they're like, "This is one of the best women's group shows to come out of this circuit in quite a while." And you're talking to a guy that saw prime Westside Simply Irresistible in 2019. So Millard North Illumination is my pick for Queens of Nebraska and the Dakotas.
Yeah, I think we're gonna all have the same answer for our trouble group as well. Dylan's nodding his head. But is there anyone else that you want to shout out while we're here? We'll go Dylan first. Like any other Nebraska, South Dakota groups that you want to shout out. We agree, Millard North for our queens of Nebraska and the Dakotas, and Gretna Revolution is our kings. But is there anyone else that you would like to shout out, Dylan?
I think my big shout out's gonna be Elkhorn South because they're not up at the level of like the Titans yet, but I don't know. If you ask me what school is going to be at the level of the Titans of Nebraska next, it would be Elkhorn. That my pick would be Elkhorn South because they are
Yeah.
just a phenomenal group.
Yeah, I was also going to shout out the Elkhorns, but I will shout out West Side because they're one of my favorite shows this year. I just think their costumes are so beautiful. I love their singing. I love their dancing. They're super clean. I like them quite a bit. And also got to shout out Gretna East, young program, really doing quite a bit of damage over in Nebraska. So we are going to move
Hold on, can I
on.
do a couple more shout outs?
Yeah. Shout some out. Shout some out.
I have three. I'm going to do them real fast. Number one, Elkhorn North. Stonks are looking up at Elkhorn North. Number
Yes.
two, O'Gorman. My roommate's girlfriend was in O'Gorman show choir as a high schooler, so shout out Ovation winning their first grand championship in several years. And number three, deep hole, but Burke Synergy. This is the most complete season that I have ever seen out of Burke Synergy. They're not in the prep division anymore. They're looking like a very legitimate Nebraska large school group. And when you realize that they're sandwiched right between West Side and the Millards, like it makes a lot of sense. Like they're in a great place. They have a second year director who is really doing good things with the group. And I think that in a couple of years, we might be talking about Burke Synergy a lot more.
Yeah. All right. So we are going to move on to Iowa now. We are going to agree on the Kings of Iowa, I would imagine. Any non-Linmar picks for the Kings of Iowa?
Well, it has to be Ankeny Centennial because they have a lighthouse. And when you have a lighthouse,
Right.
you automatically win all the awards.
Right. Yes. Okay. All right. Moving on. So I'll do the Linmar spiel. I mean, what else can you say? They've won 8 bajillion times in a row. They did lose a caption this year, but you know, like they survived. They won. They win. All they do is win. And they've had a lot of amazing shows in a row. I have heard that this show isn't some people's favorites, but it is others' favorites as well. They're gonna do what they do. They're probably gonna do it again next year. And what can you say? They're one of the best. For the Queens of Iowa, there's maybe some debate. So I'll go with Will. Who is your Queen of Iowa? I think I've started with you for a lot actually.
Okay.
I'll go with Dylan.
No. I'd like to dispute your point that there's some debate because I actually don't think there's any debate at all.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
Dylan, I think you and I have the same train of thought.
Yeah, it's
All right.
Ankeny
All right.
Centennial Vortex. Is that?
Yeah, I mean that was my pick. I plead ignorance here because I feel like I was forgetting somebody because I love Ankeny Centennial Vortex so much that I'm like that I'm always like, oh, there's got to be like someone else that I'm forgetting. But yeah, okay. Uh, who wants to do the Ankeny Centennial Vortex spiel?
I can do that.
All
So
right.
Ankeny Centennial Vortex, they are the mixed group killer in Iowa when it
Yeah.
comes to single gender groups. They have beaten some very solid mixed groups. Like I know they beat Southeast Polk. Trying to think who else they beat. Let me hold on. Let me do a little research here. They beat Sioux Falls Jefferson. Very solid group. They got a few good wins this year. They beat Sioux Falls Roosevelt. And yeah, they go around.
Southeast Polk. Yeah.
They go around. They beat mixed groups. They did miss finals once this year, and that was like that's like rare for them to miss finals. And I think that just speaks to the testament more so of
And
how
that was also
dominant
Liberty.
that was also Liberty, yes.
Yeah,
And that just speaks to the test that's just a testament to how dominant of a force Vortex has been in the past few
definitely.
years. And yeah, I don't think anybody in Iowa is up on their level, but I do have knowledge that Walkie Nova will be coming back next season. So
Woo!
I would imagine there's still a treble group. Actually, I don't know for sure, but I would imagine there's still going to be a treble group still. So Walkie in a couple years, or even next year, Ankeny's into the Vortex, they might have some competition. But for now, they are the number one single gender group in Iowa.
Definitely. Any other groups that we want to shout out from Iowa before we move on? Shows that we liked this year.
Oh boy, I didn't barely watch any Iowa shows, but one I did watch was Dowling. Dowling has a new director fresh out of college, and it was not the most successful season for them. However, Des Moines is a really competitive metro, and I do want to shout out Dowling Catholic Dimensions.
Yeah, for sure. I got to shout out just a few shows because Iowa show choir is some of my favorite around. Urbandale, loved Urbandale this year. Loved their main soloist. Loved their choreography. I was blown away by their show. Walkie Millennium, electric, top 10 choreo group. They're awesome. Absolutely loved them this year. And Ankeny Centennial Spectrum was my favorite Iowa show of the year, far and away. Um, it's so good. It's so peak. I don't know what to say. Um, yeah, those are the groups that I had to shout out from Iowa.
Yeah. My two Iowa picks. My number one, Urbandale. Urbandale, I don't know, they went through a big change in creative team. Both their directors and choreographer were switched, and we've seen a few times in the past few years that happen, and the program kind of go through a little turbulence. And Urbandale, I saw their show on the Walkie live stream, and I was like, "Who let Adam Brown cook? He is this, this like this show is awesome." And Kevin Chase does such a good job with them, and yeah, no, they and the results show. I don't think they placed lower than second. They beat some great groups, Walkie, Millard West. Yeah, and they're one of the best groups in Iowa, and it's looking like they're going to keep being one of the best groups in Iowa. And my second shout out, Davenport Central, Heath Guimar absolutely cooked with them. They ended up being such a good fit for Heath, and it also showed. I don't think they dropped the choreo caption once this season. They took down Ankeny and North and not North Polk. Well, they did that. They took down Ankeny and Valley at North Polk in what was one of the biggest upsets in Iowa, in my opinion. So yeah, Davenport Central absolutely cooking with Heath. I'm glad they got their guy
Cooking
because
with
they got
Heath. Oh, bars.
oh,
With Heath. Oh, okay. All right. Any other last words for Iowa? All right. Let's talk about Cedar Grove, everyone. We're moving on to Indiana here, and my king and queen of Indiana both hail from Center Grove. I thought Debtones had a spectacular show this year. It was my favorite of theirs ever. I loved the show. I watched it at SEN. I watched it on my phone a few times. It's great. Um, yeah. Would anyone like to talk about sound system? They they win.
Uh, yeah, being at Show Choir Nationals, and there are a lot of good groups at Show Choir Nationals, and in prelims, you're kind of sitting around your folks, and Dylan is one of those folks, and we're kind of figuring like, okay, like this group is here and this group is here, and I don't know if this group will make finals, and I didn't really care to see that show again, but I think it's probably going to be technically good enough to make finals. And then Center Grove goes, and you're like, okay, wrap it up. Like we don't even need to have Saturday.
Let's go home.
All the hardware is decided.
Mhm.
And allegedly, one judge at Nationals was crazy enough to not put Center Grove first in one category. And I don't understand how that happened, because that it was just the. And it's one of those deals where, like, I watched Center Grove at Pike in 25, and they were very closely challenged by Franklin Central there. And at Nationals, it was clear that the gap between 1 and 2 was probably going to be bigger than the gap between 2 and 6.
Yeah.
Because, man, like, I don't know what Jennifer Dice has come up with, and what, by extension, Jared Norman has come up with, but the absolute run that they are having in one of the most competitive circuits in all of American show choir, and by extension, then all of worldwide show choir.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say unprecedented, but it's certainly something that every once in a while you have to take a step back and say, I am in the midst of greatness right now, and I just have to respect it for what it is. Because I know, like, some people, like, they don't see the shows and out from Indiana. They're like, oh, how can they hold on to that for that long? Is everyone in Indiana getting worse? And they're like, no, that's not the case. Like, you just watch that show and you're like, yep, that's it. Pack it up. Yeah, Dylan, I don't know. Were you thinking the same thoughts?
yeah, pretty much Center Grove. Like I remember watch them. I'm like, yep, it's over. Pack it up. Just give them the trophy. Trophy. Let 2 through 6 compete on Saturday. Just give Center Grove the first trophy.
Yeah. So any disagreements about the Center Groves being our kings and queens of Indiana?
No.
All right. I would like to shout out Franklin Central. Thought they had a great show this year. Love to shout out North Central. Also thought they had a great show this year. And also Caramel Accents. I really quite liked Caramel Accents treble show this year. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I do not enjoy whoever wrote a 10-minute chart for those performers because I timed that.
I know you did. That is a Will
Oh,
thing to do.
yeah. I would like to shout out Columbus North. I know we had someone from the chat in there, but yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's no
got
secret.
to.
I'm not the biggest fan of Indiana Show Choir. Too many screens for me, too many riser swaps for me, too many groups that really take themselves a bit too seriously, perhaps, than what they are. And Columbus North was not any of that. Columbus North was a show, both shows really, that set up and did shows about light, more or less fulfilling themes, and packed up and left. And they sang very well, and the dancing, I think, is still getting there. But it was really one of my favorite shows of the year out of Indiana. I'm trying to figure out if there's anybody else that I want to go for. I do want to shout out East Noble as well. I know that there were just a lot of things that happened at East Noble in the run up to the 2025 season, and their 2025 season was more or less like a stopgap, and then they were finally able to get their feet under them in 2026. And so, even though perhaps the results don't show that, I think it was a good season for East Noble as well, recovering from some of that turmoil. Oh, and also the Austin Dimensions coming back after a year or two away.
For sure. So I got two shout outs. One, North Central, up there with my favorite show of the year. Them or Eisenhower in like a deadlock for my favorite show of the year. I have a love-hate relationship with theme shows. And like like if I love them, I really love them. If I don't like them, I really don't like them. North Central was in the love category. I remember saw they're doing like a moving day house theme. I was like, oh, this might be going in my hate shows, but no, it was right up there in my love shows. The vocals like blew me away. I thought it had a really nice emotional core to it, especially with that ballad, and like the rap number about with like the cleaning. That's peak North Central. That's just a peak North Centralism. And yeah, it's just one of like Jared McElroy after a year has got them in that position where they're getting second in second at Show Choir Nationals ahead of choirs like Homewood and Grenada and Carroll and so many other good groups. And yeah, North Central, the future's never been brighter for them. I, and my other shout out is to the entire Indiana single gender scene for being the absolute most wild scene in the nation to watch this year because I remember I think Nathan made like a chart. It's just like an entire circle of like who beat who because like one week Zionsville Corollaries beat Debtones and Corollaries lose to Plainfield Femmes Fatales the next week and then Center Grove and Fisher Sound tie full on tie. They didn't even bother breaking the tie. They just tied. And then Brownsburg Starlight Voices misses finals 1 week and then beats Fisher Sound at nationals. It was just what is happening. So yeah, shout out the Indiana single gender scene for just being that competitive that you just didn't know what was going to happen going into any given competition.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we've got about 12-ish minutes left, so we're gonna try to fly through these a little bit quicker. But we are at, I do actually like have to go, so that's fine. I say that. But we have the Minnesota and Wisconsin combined region here. Would anybody like to start out with that, Mr. Will?
Oh yeah, why not ask the Wisconsin native to do that? Yeah, the kings
Yeah.
of the region were Bloomington Kennedy, and the queens of the region were Sauk Prairie YTBN. I know that
Yes.
Bloomington Kennedy did take a split caption loss to Lacrosse, but on the whole, I think they had a better season than Lacrosse, and Lacrosse then losing to Onalaska later in the season more or less sealed the deal. Bloomington Kennedy, one of those years where you look at it and you're like, yep, that's a generational year for that program. Sauk Prairie YTBN, this is a program that has generally moved away from using doublers. And I think that's a really admirable thing. And that's part of the reason why I'm picking them, because I believe they might have lost to a couple groups a couple times. Yeah, so they did lose to Sparta a couple times at the beginning of the season. But I'm going to take YTBN as my queens for a couple of reasons. Number one, because Sparta is more or less heavy on the doublers, and I do want to recognize a group that is made up of less of those as they have built the enrollment in the program. And secondly, they did a show about six, and their unofficial show title was All Hail the Queens. So it only feels fitting that a show about the Queens lands as the Queens of Wisconsin and Minnesota for this year.
Yeah, I think personally for the Kings of the region, I'm gonna have to go Bloomington Kennedy as well. It's a show that I saw live. I thought it was fantastic. And I can plead a little bit of ignorance here, but just in case. But for my queens, I'm gonna go with Sparta Upstage Adrenaline. I saw them. They were great. They had a lot of fantastic results this season, made finals a few times. I thought they were very, very impressive. So that's what I'm gonna go with. Dylan, how about you?
For Kings, gotta go Bloomington Kennedy. Just with the year that they had, they took down a regional powerhouse in Waconia. They took down Onalaska, a group that they took a pretty dominant win against Onalaska, and Onalaska is a group that Kennedy trades haymakers with all the time. So to see them take down that arch rival and then just get first place sweeps all across the board, pretty much, yeah, yeah, they're the kings of the region, and it's just a generational. That's a generational season that for Bloomington Kennedy, and I'm excited to see what they do next year with 71 performers. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
As for the Queen, I have to go Sparta Rise of Adrenaline. They're I saw them live when they went to El Paso and they just put on such a fun show. And I believe they made finals at a competition. I forget which one, but I know they made finals at a
And they
competition.
did. I think it was. Oh gosh, let me pull it up.
No, it was
They
Bloomington
made
Kennedy.
finals at Bloomington Kennedy. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I that was the one I was at. That's how I know. Also, I
yeah.
apologize for saying Upstage Adrenaline and not Rise of Adrenaline. My bad.
You're good.
There you go. Yeah, and Bloomington Kennedy's that's a competitive competition. So making finals at that competition had some strong mixed groups. I think pretty much cemented Res of Adrenaline's place as the queen of the Wisconsin Minnesota region for me.
Definitely. Let's move on to Ohio and West Virginia here.
I'm gonna do two quick shout outs for the
Oh, shout them out. Shout them out.
number one, Bloomington Jefferson. If Kennedy didn't have an outstanding season this year, we'd be talking about Jefferson.
Yeah, they're
Two
sick.
wins and a really complete season for them. And number two, Eau Claire North out of Wisconsin. It's been probably since like Chippewa Falls 2018 that the Northwest region of the state has had a show that they can really rally around and be proud of. And I think Eau Claire North did that this year. First GC for them, first time that anyone from the Northwest has won a GC in a while. We're probably talking either Colby's early 2010s win at Springfield or the last of the Eau Claire Memorial wins. So a really, really giant step forward for Eau Claire North.
Definitely. All right, Ohio and West Virginia. Who wants to take a stab at their kings and queens of that region?
Um, so for Kings, it's got to be Marysville. They've been the king of Ohio for the past few years, for like pretty much since the pandemic, and that hasn't and I don't see that changing. I know Ross gave them a run for their money in 2023, but they bounced right back in 2024, and they haven't stopped since. Single gender, ooh, oh, give me Winfield Emerald Elegance for my single gender queen. They're another one of those mixed group killers that I mentioned. They've straight up been winning competitions, and I know they went to Indiana. I think it's Center Grove, and they competed very well in Indiana, which is a state that has, like we said earlier, crazy good single gender competition. Let me look at Center Grove. I think this is the one they went to. Um, yeah, they took down a division full of great choirs at Center Grove, and yeah, they were pretty much and they were undefeated in their division. So. Yeah, I would have to go with Winfield Emerald Elegance as my single gender queen. Or
Yeah. All right. How
No
about
complaints there.
you,
Nothing
Mr.
to add.
Will? Yep. Cool. Let's do it. Let's move on. I would like to shout out Loveland though. Awesome season from them. Shout out the Lizard Show, Marysville. Sick. All right. Any other quick shout outs for Ohio or West Virginia before we move on?
Cobble Midland's Mario Kart show.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Finley, good shout out. Good shout out, Ellie. You reminded me. Let's move on to the South. Alabama and Mississippi combined here. Who are your kings? Well, we know who the queen is, but who are you guys' kings of the South this year?
Look, it's got to be Clinton.
Yeah.
We all know that they're undefeated again. We all know that, perhaps they didn't match up against Homewood, who some people consider to be the number 2 mixed group. However, they did match up against Oak Mountain, who some other people consider to be the number 2 mixed group, and they beat Oak Mountain. And as someone who saw both shows in close proximity at Show Choir Nationals, Homewood in finals and Clinton as a host exhibition, Clinton was the better show of the two. And while I also saw Oak Mountain in person, that was at a comp where Homewood beat Oak Mountain, and Clinton still clears all of them. And sure, people can have their gripes about Clinton's show design this year, and perhaps its similarities to past shows, or perhaps the competitions they choose to attend, or this or that or whatever. But the fact remains that in my very non-professional, I just do this for fun show choir, watching Clinton was the best mixed shows that I saw this year out of the South, having watched 4 out of the top 5 Southern mixed shows, West Jones being the lone exception. And in terms of the Queens, it is Tupelo freaking synergy. Since
Yeah.
podcast this year, I'm here to shout it from the rooftops about Tupelo freaking synergy, the mixed group killer. We were talking about a year going into it where we're looking at a Jassy comp where we're like, oh, like that's cute. Grenada's going to sweep and Tupelo's going to be second. And man, that's really tough because if Tupelo would just go to like any of these competitions that don't have any of these big mixed groups, like they really do it. And then Tupelo comes out and they prove that they don't need no weak comp to win a GC. Like goodness gracious.
No.
Shout out Danielle Ratliff. Shout out the Nick Kwame and Mark Trainer Kwame. And Tupelo, man. Just that's it.
Yep, Tupelo Synergy is absolutely mesmerizing to watch. I watched their show a few times via YouTube, and they're just so good. Shout out Grenada, shout out Auburn, great show. Shout out Auburn Men at Work. And shout out to I know you have a Southern group that you're rather fond of that you may want to shout out, Mr. Will.
Oh, yes. Briarwood Radica, my beloveds.
Yeah.
The most wholesome show I've seen, not only this year, but in a long, long time. Like, probably since Colby 2020, which is a very deep pull. But it is on, I think it's on a competition live stream somewhere. Just Casey Mixon, Matthew Murphy, director and choreographer, Aaron Smith, arranger. I don't know if there's a video of it on YouTube because none of their comps had live streams that were archived. But golly, man, like when you open yourself up to do something vulnerable, the results can be phenomenal. And I don't care where they shake out in our southern end of the season poll rankings. Briarwood, my number 2 favorite non-Wisconsin group, number 1 favorite southern group by a long shot. Obviously, Morton won a quarter second. Yes, I shout out Briarwood.
Yeah, all right, Dylan, any shout outs for you from the South?
I got to shout out Grenada purely for what was a generational lock-in for Show Choir Nationals finals. And I remember I was at the end of prelims, I was like, I don't know if Grenada's gonna make finals. And then in finals they proved why they deserve to be in finals. They were just on in that finals and performance, and that was like the best. I'm glad they made finals purely because I got to see that rendition of that show.
Definitely. All right. We are going to move on to the West Coast, where we're going to talk about John Burroughs. It's not every year that a program comes out of this circuit and just wins everything all the time with 2 undefeated, groups, but John Burroughs did it this year. Powerhouse, Sound Sensations, sweep, 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 sweep. So what can you say? They're great. They took a risk with their show this year, and they did what they do, and not for a lack of challenge either. You have to remember that this is a Burbank group that took on the rest of the field at Marysville, that beat Los Al earlier, and then Los Alamitos that went to HO Orlando and swept, and they swept both of those groups. Amazing, amazing season from Powerhouse, and a really uncontested season from Sound Sensations, even though that soundtrack show I think is phenomenal. They did what they do. Any objections?
No.
All right, any shout outs? Any shout outs for the West Coast?
Cypress.
Yeah.
To see where Cypress was right out of the pandemic, and to see where they are now, I would argue that every single year after the pandemic has been a building year through two different directors for Cypress, and really, it's what you like to see because it was a program that was in advanced in the mid 2010s and scored a lone win, I think in like 2014 maybe. But then to come back to the top this year with a sweep win is really phenomenal. I also do want to shout out Esperanza because they're just there, and Novice, besides for that one weird comp at Heart, which we're going to sweep that under the rug. And also Willow Canyon, a group from Arizona Shadow Ridge, Shadow Ridge choosing to move up for intermediate for next season. And seeing that out of a developing Shaquar circuit is really phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely. Cypress is so sick. I don't know if you've seen the show yet, but they're not like as skilled as like Center Grove Sound System or John Burroughs Powerhouse or whatever. But I mean, they have some moments in their show that are like, oh, that's cool, and that's just what I love to see. I have to give a shout out to Valley Vista though, one of the most impactful shows this year, and somehow the first
Lighthouse?
ever, huh?
Lighthouse?
What? Lighthouse? 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 Um, but really, like, somehow the first choir that I've seen to use Castle on the Hill by Ed Sheeran as a closer, which is like, how did nobody think of that? I mean, I'm sure your head is spinning of examples of someone doing just that, but um, I was like, oh, that's good. That's smart. That's a good show design choice. So shout out them. And also Granada Hills for having one of my favorite show designs of the season and stealing a show design from my brain, and I'm really mad at you. And Dylan, any shout outs from you for West Coast?
As someone who doesn't know much West Coast ball, I think I'm going to shout out another Arizona group, Horizon Step on Stage. Arizona's still a very new circuit. I know there's some groups like Boulder who have been around a bit, but to see a group that's, I think, on like a legit contender level this early on in their life, it's pretty wild to see. Like, this
Yeah.
is a very legit group. And you might not think it because you don't see them too often. They don't compete outside of your West Coast areas too often. And when they do compete in the West Coast, they end up competing with the big three. But yeah, no, if you see Horizon at a national competition in the future, look out for them.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna
Yeah.
say.
Do not count them out. Um, One last shout out to throw out there. I got to shout out Esperanza. Will mention them already, but they're one of my favorites this year too. And Modern Day had an impressive debut this year. All right, let's take a look at New England this year. I think our Kings will probably all be the same, but our Queen will be interesting. I will go with my King first, Daniel Hand. I think they had the best show this year. I think they put on the best string of wins this season and the most impressive results. Yeah, they had a great show. Murder on the Orient Express. I really love their backdrop. They're a great group, and they have been top two in this New England region for forever. They're great. Um, my Queens, I don't know. I have not seen a
Yeah.
single treble group in New England, and that is bad on me. That is so evil and terrible and awful for me, but I just haven't seen it. Um, but would somebody with more treble ball like to take a stab at treble ball knowledge, excuse me, um, like to take a stab at the New England Queens?
So, depending on how big our definition of the New England circuit is, I
Pennsylvania is included,
the
if
the
that's what
best
you're gonna say.
choice is Scranton Glitter and Gold. They went undefeated across 3 competitions this season. Other than that, if Pennsylvania doesn't necessarily count, I would go with Shepherd Hill Illusion. They were second to Scranton. They won, and they were second to Marysville. So I would say that is a pretty good season for them as well.
I don't know treble ball. Can't argue with undefeated. So I'm gonna go Scranton.
Perfect. I want to shout out Cosby. Virginia's not really New England, and Virginia's just also not really part of any other circuit. Um, and they're also kind of too small to really have a big. Hello, am I back?
Okay,
Yes.
I think you're back. I don't think Dylan or I heard any of what you just said.
Um,
You said I think you
yeah,
left off.
sorry.
Virginia is not a part of any other circuit.
Yeah, it's not a part of any other circuit, but shout out Cosby, Rhapsody, and Spotlight. They're both great.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're doing a Virginia shout out. Oh gosh. Who? Midlothian. Just for show. One of their best years since probably 2017 when they won at Lakeside. The Midlothian won somewhere this year. I'm forgetting exactly where, but good season for Midlothian just for show.
All right. Cool. Any other New England, Virginia? Oh, not New England again, really, but there is like 2 choirs in New York total. But like I gotta shout out Uniondale, Rhythm of the Night. Also, when we talk about giant slayers, they are the giantest giant slayers there are. 19 of them, something like that. Took down Auburn this year. Love them to death. All right. And with that being said, let's move on to our last mega region that we kind of have here. Texas/Oklahoma/Kansas/Missouri, all
Okay,
kind of
that is dirty work. Golly.
in this middle of the country region where all of them are kind of the part of each other's regions and also kind of not and also kind of are. Maybe we could separate Missouri. Maybe that would make sense. They might have enough.
Yeah, Missouri and Kansas go in one, and Oklahoma, Texas on the other.
Let's do it that way then. Let's do Texas and Oklahoma, and then we'll do Kansas and Missouri together. So let's start with Texas and Oklahoma then. Who is somebody say it.
Your Kings are Broken Arrow,
Yes.
and your Queens. I don't know. I think, as weird as this sounds, I think your Queens are the Jenks Airmen.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. But now that I think about it.
Jenks Airmen, first place in the prep division at Fort Worth Southwest, also first place in the men's division at Rockbridge. Obviously, never got to compete in Oklahoma as they host the mainstream Oklahoma competition. But I don't see another group out of Oklahoma or Texas that had a more consistent record than Airmen did.
Yeah. I'm all in. I was gonna say Tiger Mystique, and I'm still gonna shout them out, but yeah, I'm gonna go Jenks Airmen because I think Jenks Airmen being the Queens is awesome. I think that's great. What say you, Dylan? Do you agree?
I agree with both.
Amazing. Okay. Quick shout out to Keller Central, great season. Also Keller Blue Lights, great season. Yeah, those are my shout outs for that area.
Yeah, we are getting to the rest of the regions, we promise.
Yeah.
We are working our way around.
Okay. Let's go over to our new Missouri and Kansas region. What do we think there? There's a little bit of a debate, maybe, if you're adventurous.
I think your Kings are Neosho. I don't necessarily think that's up for debate. I mean,
Troy Buchanan was the
Oh
other
yeah.
one I was thinking.
Troy Buchanan had some good results, but a conclusive list of groups that Neosho lost to this year is Johnston, Broken Arrow, and Mount Zion. And I guess technically, did Troy Buchanan beat Mount Zion? Yes. But I'm still going to give this one to Neosho. As for the Queen side, I am also going to go Neosho. They made finals at three of their four competitions. Sugar and Spice did, and at the other one, they won the division. With all due respect to Carthage, who Soundwave had a great season, picking up their first win in a while. Sweet Sounds also had a good season. With the respect to Web City Bella Voce, I just think this is a Neosho 1-2 sweep.
I agree with Neosho's queen. I am gonna go Troy as my king because they I thought they had a very successful season. They swept Neosho's comp as per usual, and they also were right in the thick of it at El Paso. They beat Mount Zion, Sparta, some great groups there, and I think the big one that cemented it was taking down two of New England's biggest Titans on their home turf with a sweep, and that's something that's hard to do, especially on their home turf. So I do have to go with Troy Buchanan. But Neosho gets closer and closer every year to knocking Troy down.
Yeah, it's for me. It's like it's hard to say that Troy Buchanan was the quote unquote king of Missouri, considering they competed in Missouri once. Like, so I kind of get where like it comes from, but Troy Buchanan as a group from Missouri did put together to me the most impressive resume with again that Andover competition kind of wrapping up the debate for me. So I've got to give it to them, unfortunately, or not unfortunately. Fortunately, we love them. And then for my queens, I'm going to go with Neosho as well. Any shout outs from that region? You got to shout out Blue Valley, of course, but any others?
Shout out Carthage for getting their first grand championship since I believe 2019 this season.
Oh, well, okay, no, we're going to talk about that on Tuesday night. Um, I'll give a shout out to just the other Kansas groups besides Blue Valley: Atchison, St. Thomas Aquinas, Seaman, Clearwater, Andover, um, Arkansas, Arkansas City. I don't know if it's Arkansas or Arkansas. I think it's Arkansas City when it's in Kansas. But all of those other Kansas groups that like a lot of other people don't necessarily know exist, but that still contribute to the Kansas show car scene.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we're gonna move on to our final region, and that is Illinois. I don't know why I didn't write it down, but I didn't. So, um, but Illinois, it's here. We're doing it. My queens are undebatable. It's You've Got Mail. And I don't really know how heavily contested the Kings are either. I have to go with Wheaton North. Wheaton North, cool show, did very, very well. And unless I'm forgetting somebody big, I just think that they really took the top of Illinois this year. I love both of them. Love both of those shows. Shout out, You've Got Mail.
I think the King. I don't know. I won't speak for Dylan here, but I think the King is pretty uncontested. Wheaton North was just there all the time when it came to not losing to other Illinois groups. Like, did they lose to other groups? Sure. I mean, they put themselves in a very competitive Chesterton field. They went to Iowa, and We have two people on the podcast currently living in Illinois, and Chris forgot to write Illinois down.
I see. I was thinking about it the whole time. I was like, "Oh, when are we gonna get to Illinois?" And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't write them on the thing. I
Yeah,
didn't forget. I just didn't like my fingers just didn't. I don't know. Whatever."
Wheaton North, another one of those very large groups, another one of those groups where you're like, huh, you don't see drumming on larger than life Campbell's soup cans every year out of a show choir. So certainly well deserved king title. Queen title definitely depends on who you ask. Our Illinois postseason single gender rankings, which are published on the blog, homeroomshowchoir.com/blog, feature three different choirs that got votes for the first place Queen title. My vote was for Wheaton Warrenville South Esprit, and I know that's not a super popular pick because, yeah, they may have lost to certain You've Got Mail at one point. But I think that Esprit had the most consistent season. Esprit perhaps had, they were there in Wisconsin, they were there in Iowa. They were challenging the Zions of Corollaires. So, yeah.
Yeah, King pretty uncontested. This is just one of those Wheaton North years where they're just the class act of the state. And for the Queen, there's a few different groups that I could give this to. So to decide it, I'm going to pull the alumni bias card. So I'm gonna go with El Paso Gridley High Fidelity.
Yeah.
I know they didn't end the year quite how they wanted, but that was just such a loaded division where a billion things could have happened. But they just had such a crazy run. They made finals at two competitions, their most since 2022. They got, I believe, four division wins. They beat some great groups, some great mixed groups like Western Dubuque, who I believe is a rising group in Iowa right now. Eau Claire North, who is absolutely a rising group in Wisconsin right now. And they're one of the smaller high five groups I've seen. So to see them doing that much, Sarah Moore has done such a great job with their choreography. Shout out her. And yeah, I'm gonna go with high five as my queens for Illinois.
I'll shout them out to watching them at Wheaton for the first time this season. Kirsten Wheatley, I forget if she was the president or the dance captain, but just she had so much passion and energy on stage, and that entire group followed that lead. So shout out, high five.
For sure.
All right, and with that, that concludes our final segment of the teardown this year. Big shout out to Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, Canada, New Mexico, Utah, and all those groups out there and regions that have just one or two competing show choirs. We love you guys. That's it for the teardown. I hope you enjoyed our incredible reactions throughout the year to all of these fun and crazy and silly and amazing results from across the season. So much love from the homeroom team. I hope you guys had so much fun because at the end of the day, that's what we are about. We are about having fun and putting fun things on the screen for you guys to see. Very, very, very much love. Hope to be back again next year. And shout out Courtney. I don't I don't know where she's at, but she'll probably see this. Any final words from you, Will?
Yeah, as the original founder of the Teardown during the 2025 season, I am so happy about what this show has become this year and the fact that we've been able to do it all of these weeks, even pushing through perhaps some circumstances to make it happen, especially on March 7th. But just the community that we're able to bring together because of this show is great. Obviously, clickbait, fun reactions are always great as well when we get a little excited about things, but it wouldn't be show choir if there wasn't someone a little bit too passionate in the room.
Definitely. All right, closing statement, Dylan.
Yeah, this has been such a great podcast. It's given me something to look forward to every weekend, and I'm really happy that I got to do it. I also look to give a shout out to some of our interim hosts who hosted when some of us weren't able to be here. Shout out Ellie Peck, shout out Will Kaiser took it on solo one
Yeah.
night with almost zero prior experience.
Yeah,
So
that's my goat.
huge shout out to him. So yeah, very glad I got to do this. And if we are back next year, we will see you on January 9th, 2027.
Woo! Make sure to tune in for the Homie Award live show whenever that is. I forgot what it is.
Tuesday at 6:30 Central.
Tuesday at 6:30 Central. Goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. We have been the Teardown. I was Chris. We had Will down here, Dylan down here, and we will see you guys in a long, long time. Bye-bye.